You're listening to the Simplified CEO, the podcast that shows you business does not have to be complicated. So grab a coffee, get comfy, and let's show you how you can get success in every area of your life the simpler way.
Just before we jump into today's episode, I have to give today's sponsor a shout out. Now, you know, here on Simplified CEO, we are all about the simple life in business. And I know one of the main areas every entrepreneur wishes was simpler was the bookkeeping. Well, it can be with today's sponsor, Xero. This is an accounting software I have used for years, and honestly, it's made it so easy for me to keep a track of everything. It automates manual tasks, meaning I'm not losing hours to admin, and it can be done from anywhere using their fantastic mobile app. So if you're looking for a simpler way to keep on top of your bookkeeping, go and check out Xero today using the link in the show notes below for a special offer. Now let's get back to today's episode.
Hi, and welcome to the Simplified CEO. This week, I am talking you through what Simplified CEO mindset actually is, what it means, and how you can have it too. And I want to start off by just explaining actually the difference in general between a CEO mindset and a non-CEO mindset, because this word, the CEO, is bandied about so much now. It's almost like a buzzword, and I think generally people don't actually really know what it means. So to put it in simple terms, I think when you go into business, when you start a business, generally it's because you are just really good at something or you're really passionate about that thing. So you start a business because you're wanting to help other people, you're wanting to get the word out that you're really good at this thing and you can help people with it. You don't necessarily look too far into the future. You don't even realize, and I know I didn't in the beginning, that actually what I was doing was setting up a business. It was a sort of a side hustle mentality, even though it was full time for me. But I think it's so different when you're just in the beginning and it's a time for money exchange and it's all about just building that client basis in the beginning. And it's definitely day to day. And I think this is where I would have absolutely loved to have had this sort of episode back then to help me make that mindset shift so much earlier, because it took me, I think, till like year 7 of my business for me to really understand the difference between having a sort of business mindset and an entrepreneurial mindset. And I guess it's an accidental entrepreneurial mindset is where I was at, against actually having a CEO mindset. And I say accidental entrepreneurial mindset because I didn't go into business. I've said this so many times. I didn't go into business chasing huge success. I literally just wanted to bring in a bit of extra income into my household. So it really was accidental. The level of success and the speed that the business grew really took me by surprise. And I think for quite a while, I was hanging on the coattails of that success. You know, it was leading me, not the other way around. So it took me a while to sort of catch up with that and realize, no, I built a successful brand and a business, and I needed to change my mindset if I wanted to take it to that next level. And that was where the simplified CEO mindset came in for me personally, because I knew that I was really close to burnout. I was, working way more hours than I had ever intended to do. Because, like I said, my goal, my purpose for going into this business was to free up time. It was to bring in just enough money to support the household, but to be a present mum and be there for my family. And I had completely lost that because I'd grown so successful. I had the staff, I had the clients, and I felt like I needed to be on 24/7. You know, there was always something else for me to be actioning, for me to be dealing with. And I'd completely lost the balance and the vision of what I had wanted to achieve. So I had to change all of that. And that's where the simplified element comes into the simplified CEO mindset, because it's changing from being money driven and money focused to being time focused and understanding what wealth really means. So for me, wealth isn't just about money. It's about life experiences. It's about making memories with my family. It's about having time for self care and going on girly holidays with my friends and, being there at school pickup every day. That's what wealth is to me. And yes, obviously, There is an element of financial wealth and an element of the lifestyle that I want to achieve, but that isn't my only driver. In fact, it's not even my most important driver. So I knew I needed to make a shift because I didn't want to lose the financial success that I was achieving. I didn't want to financially negatively impact my family. We'd got used to that lifestyle and financially it was good. But I knew that I needed more time and I wanted to claw back more of the balance, in inverted comments, in my life. And that's when I started assessing everything. And that's how I built my reset framework. But these are the steps that I did in my business to get my mindset in the right place. So it was changing from being money focused and solely looking at financial goals for the business and financially how much success I could achieve. And actually then turning it more into a time focus. So, how can I keep my income exactly where it is, but get it in way less hours? Have you ever thought about that? Have you ever thought, well, I don't necessarily potentially even need more money. The money I'm on right now might be good, it might be enough. But how can I sustain that financial level, but in less hours? Because it's not always about chasing the millions and the huge financial turnovers. I did an episode a couple of weeks ago where I discussed how I was involved in a huge annual seven-figure launch for a course. And actually, it really made me question was that level of success and that time and effort that it took to make that um, succeed. Was that something that I ever actually wanted in the future? And the answer is no, because I'm not bought into the hustle culture. It's not me. I'm not here to not have any life outside of work. I want the balance, if that exists, which I don't actually believe the word balance is the right word for it. But I'll explain that later. So, my first question was, where am I wasting my time in this business? You need to look at the tasks, the elements that you're spending your time on in the day, and then you categorize them. So there's £10 tasks. They're like absolutely minuscule things like opening the post or checking your emails, clearing the spam out of your inbox. Really small tasks that absolutely anybody could do for you. That's a £10 task. Then there's the £100 tasks. So these need a bit more skill, they need a bit more experience and need to be handled with a bit more quality, but it still doesn't necessarily have to be you. So these are tasks that can be outsourced at a time when you are financially able to within your business. And then there's the £1,000 tasks. And these are tasks that one will probably bring you the most joy. They're the most exciting for you to do, but they're also the ones that impact your profits the most in the business. They bring in the most money. So it really is where you should be spending your time and your energy. So it's really important to completely assess your week and your month in your business and start analyzing these tasks. And it is important, take it to the minute. How long does it take you to open the post, to go through your emails, even if it's just to clear out the spam? These tiny little things that you're probably doing without even realizing anymore, they're such a habit for you. But that's where you can really gain some time back, clearing out all of those £10 tasks. The other thing to do is assess the importance of the task. So there's four categories here. There's tasks that are not important and not urgent. In fact, they don't need your time or attention at all, and they can just be cleared straight away. There's tasks that aren't important, but they are urgent. So those things might need your attention or need to be outsourced quickly. There's things that aren't urgent, but they are important. And again, those do need your attention. You need to figure out a solution for those, whether it's for you doing it or outsourcing. And then there's the things that is important, but are also urgent. And that's really where you need to focus your energies right now. But just assessing how you're spending your time and wakening up your mindset to it can be so eye opening because, like I said, we just get into this routine, right? And we become an employee of our business. You can lose any sense of the fact that you are the CEO and you are the boss. And you've just got yourself a really complicated job. You've gone from being employed to just being employed with all of the pressures on you instead of being able to clock off at 5 and go home. So it's really important to have this understanding and wake yourself back up to how you're spending your time. Once you have all of that, it instantly will highlight areas that you can just get rid of. Things that you're not enjoying at all in your business that you either need to outsource or just stop doing. Is there, when it comes to social media marketing, are you trying to keep active on 6 platforms and you're wanting to post once a day or 3 times a day on 6 platforms with different unique content? That is not sustainable for one person. And also, it's just not required. You need to look into repurposing your content. What tools are out there to help you repurpose? And again, claw back some much needed time. There are so many different areas that you can look at. Another huge area is assessing actually what products and services you're offering. Because I know one thing for me was when I looked at my sort of freebies and my offerings, they didn't align at all with where my business was at that point. Some of them were still running from when I very first set up my business. And you pivot and you tweak and you change your direction and your messaging, and it just wasn't aligned at all. But I was still spending energy and time on promoting it or pushing it out there or handling the responses to that. So again, that was really easy for me to say, well, let's just turn that off. It's not serving me at all. It's not bringing in the right clients because it's not aligned to what we're trying to achieve right now. So it's just about clearing out the noise. And as I mentioned, this is wholeheartedly against hustle culture. This is the complete opposite. This is achieving financial success, but in as least effort as possible. And I just want to highlight here that this is not talking about passive income, because I don't actually believe there is such a thing as totally passive income. There is definitely semi passive income, and that's what the simplified CEO mindset is about. It's about bringing in the same amount of financial wealth, but doing it in as little effort and as little time as possible. And by making that shift, that automatically becomes semi passive because you're not having to sit with it and tease it through the systems and the processes at every stage. You're not having to touch it at every point. So you're looking for solutions, either things that you can just clear out that's noise, unnecessary, and actually just costing you as a business now. And then you bring in tools and solutions and processes that can help you with the things that are important, that are urgent, that are really, key to your business, those £100 tasks. What tools can you use? And this was where it really transformed for me. I managed to go from 7 staff members down to 2, and my turnover wasn't negatively impacted at all. So you can imagine the impact on my profit when suddenly I only had overheads for 2 people instead of 7. It was huge, absolutely huge. And I was working less. Like, it was mind blowing to me, but it was so easy when I started the process. It really is about overseeing everything, opening your eyes and looking at the bigger picture, not being so tied into the day to day grind of your business that you can't see that bigger picture. There's a really great book on this, actually. It's called The E Myth, and it explains the difference between being an employee and working in a business to becoming that CEO mindset and working on your business. And it's such a shift, and it's so important. And if you can do it at the beginning stages before your business has really taken off, where it might feel a bit silly because you're saying I'm a CEO, but really a CEO of nothing. I haven't got my first client yet or any of that. But by setting that intention at the beginning and putting all of these systems and processes and mindsets in place will really help you as you scale. The other thing is, and I mentioned earlier, talking about balance, I don't actually believe that you can have balance between your personal and your business life. And I actually think where people are trying to push for that, it creates this sort of competing monsters. It gives you that mindset that your personal and your business life are always competing for your attention, and they're like butting heads all the time. The way that I look at it is that it's intentional integration. I want my entire life, which includes my business and my work, to be perfectly integrated. So I get to choose the ebbs and flows. I get to choose when I work and when I don't work, when I focus more of my energies into my business and when I decide my family or my friends need more of my energy instead. And I'm really intentional with how I spend my time every day, every minute of every week is intentional. And that really helps because I do the school runs every day. I do pick up every day. I'm there to watch my daughter in her horse riding lessons. We prioritize going on family holidays. I'm making those memories. I'm feeling present in her life. I am member of the PTA. I organize all the school discos. I'm on the parent council. I'm super integrated. She's still in junior school, so it's important, and she enjoys the fact that I'm that involved. I'm sure when she moves to senior school, she won't care and won't want me as involved. And then I can, choose to spend my time other ways. Maybe I'll focus more on the business at that point in my life, but it is about having that control over how I spend my time and my energy, and asking me the questions of what's really important to me right now. Ultimately, having a simplified CEO mindset is just about keeping things simple. It's about having super clarity and strategy. It's about sort of the North Star vibes, right? Really getting super clear on what it is that you want from your life in total, including your business, and then putting in the strategies and the processes to achieve that. And then it eliminates decision fatigue. If you know always with absolute clarity where it is that you're shooting for, what you're trying to achieve. And again, I'm not talking financially here. I'm talking about overarching, from your life. Yes, of course, financial can be an element of it, but it's not the end. And what's the saying? It's not the everything. Um, but if you have that guiding North Star, every decision, every opportunity, everything that comes your way, it's suddenly so much easier to make a decision on whether you say yes or no. Because if it's driving you further towards that goal and that vision that you have for yourself, it's an easy yes, right? You can see how it's going to move you forward toward that goal and that vision. But if it's not, if it's clashing with your values, if it's going to take up precious time away from your family, or it's just overcomplicating things, it's a really easy no. So that's really what a simplified CEO mindset is. It's having super clarity. It's about making every decision with as much ease as possible. And it's about making sure that you don't overcomplicate any area of your life. It's about having that intentional integration and not just chasing financial goals, not being so money focused, but actually being about sort of wealth focused in every area of your life. So I hope that has helped you, one, understand what simplified CEO mindset is, but also give you some tips and hints on how you can have it too. I would absolutely love to hear from you. Please drop a comment below or drop me an email at hello@claire-bartlett.co.uk, or come and find me on Instagram, the Claire Bartlett, and let me know which element of this has really hit home for you, what you're going to focus on clearing out first, what elements of noise can go straight away. And I would love to know the difference that this will make for you. As always, thank you so much for listening, and thank you to our sponsor, Xero. And I look forward to catching up with you again next week. Have a great week.
I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. If you are ready to make your life simpler, then don't forget to check out today's sponsor, Xero, the accounting software that is ready to supercharge your business by automating routine tasks, giving you quick access to your financial data, and helping you get paid up to twice as fast using their online invoice payments. So if you are ready for a simpler way to keep on top of your bookkeeping, go check out Xero today. Get their special offer using the link in the show notes below.